Hi, welcome to Fearless and Free TV. I'm calling the name of this episode The Four Horsemen. It is a message that came in a couple of days ago on March 22nd, 2020. And I'm going to go ahead and read it to you and my interpretation of what I think it means. I think it's really important to understand that when love stream comes in, that it needs to go through my own understanding because spirit doesn't actually speak English. It speaks through impressions, and our own mind interprets the impressions into words that we understand. This is how it's always been. Hate to break it to people, but God didn't write the Bible. The men who interpreted God's impressions wrote the Bible. So when we receive messages from spirit, it has to go through our own ability to understand, and that understanding is based on where we presently are. So when something was interpreted a certain way 5,000 years ago, it was based on their then present understanding. And I think that's really important to remember when people go looking for answers in ancient texts, that although the context and the truth of spirit is the same, the interpretation changes depending on the surrounding circumstances and the then present understanding. So I'm going to redo this message that came in, give you my feedback on what I think it is, and I really want to implore you to check in with your own connection to spirit and get your own confirmation of what it is for you. Because every single one of us is going through life based on our own personal experiences, perceptions, and understandings. And I'm a spiritual teacher in that I teach what I understand, and at the same time, it's really important for people to be able to not follow blindly anyone. Okay? So I'm going to read this for you. This is Love Stream, dated 1/22/2020. Yes, dear one, we are with you now. 4 in 1, archangels and lords of light. Enoch, Daniel, Ezekiel, and Isaiah. You called us your 4 horsemen for today. We are known as the great prophets and seers for humanity, and wise ones many still turn to for direction. How can we be of service today? Answering my question. You ask what is occurring right now on planet Earth and in the forthcoming future. As you have seen, we now confirm this is the time we have all foretold, each of us given a piece of the puzzle now being brought into fruition as the great puzzle shows itself to humanity. Some are only seeing one part or another. We see it all and did long ago. When you look at each of the writings, the puzzle will make itself clear, and there you will see the evidence of what is happening now. The great pestilence is the coronavirus that brings humanity to its knees. The battle of Armageddon is a battle between good and evil, separating God's chosen people from the impostors, separating the wheat and burning the chaff. Armageddon isn't a place, it's within the darkness. Project Armageddon is necessary and vital part of the Ascension project. It's all hands on deck. Justice will be served at the hands of God for those who lost their humanity when they chose greed over creation, fear over love, their minds so rotted with deception they have gone completely blind and the light in their hearts gone out. They are, in essence, zombies, walking in the world not fully alive and not yet dead. Zombies who have lost their humanness to greed and whose hearts have gone so dimmed they no longer feel compassion. By choosing avarice over humanness, they chose their consequences. Tribunals will not be necessary as a higher court, our court, God's court, and code of conduct will pull them from the game. A virus will remove the virus. How appropriate is that? So be it. That was a very short message that came to me as I was out walking one day, and I came home and put it in my notebook. And my interpretation of that, for me personally, is this. What I got from the message is that all hands on deck means that everyone needed to finish the ascension project is already in place. I was seeing the deck of a ship and then seeing the planet as a spaceship, meaning all hands that are needed are already in place, meaning that everything that we need here on the planet, on the spaceship we call planet Earth, is already in place for this ascension project that we've been looking for well, thousands of years, apparently. The wheat from the chaff, that is a Bible reference to separating wheat from the layers of deception that surround it. And anyone who has been through their own transformation can attest to what it feels like when you start peeling off those layers of fear. It's actually quite uncomfortable, and I think humanity is experiencing it as a collective. Individually, as we start pulling off the layers, it's very uncomfortable. It brings up a lot of painful stories that we need to process, and it also helps to find the gems that are hidden within the depths of our being. So the more layers of fear that we peel off, the more light and truth begins to reveal itself. That's what I interpret that wheat from the chaff to mean. The separating of God's people from the imposters, from me, refers to the fearmongers on our planet. There are some people on the planet who have given themselves Jewish last names, but they're not actually Jewish. So, which is really sad, because there were, almost wiped out an entire culture because of the actions of a few who weren't even Jewish, and it breaks my heart. But I think it's important to understand, for all those people out there who are anti-Semites, it has nothing to do with the Jewish people. It has to do with another group of people who kind of stole that identity. That's my understanding. So what I'm seeing is that those people who impose themselves into the region and religion never had the heart, the true heart of the people, and that story is going to be exposed. With regard to the zombies being shown to me as humans, it's the people who are so addicted to greed that and they'll do whatever it takes to preserve their. This, of course, isn't everyone who is at the top of humanity. There are some really truly lovely people who have a tremendous amount of money. There are some people who have chosen greed and control over humanity and compassion. So they've lost their heart. So when greed attaches itself to the human mind, it can make people literally blind, spiritually blind for sure, and eats away at the heart of compassion like it's a disease that siphons the light out of people. So they are already like zombies. They're human beings who are walking around, but there isn't much life in them because they've lost their humanness and their liveliness and their heart and purpose for being here. And what else? The virus that's affecting humanity, to remove the virus is actually I get a lot about being the virus of fear and the virus of greed, and that the coronavirus counteracts with that virus of greed and virus of fear, and that it's just like the great cleansing of humanity. I don't know what that looks like. I'm not going to come out and say that I think I know what that means. I think there's some people who think they know what that means, and I'm going to let it be at that. It's what I just keep seeing when Spirit refers to me as, talk to me about the virus. They're not actually talking about the coronavirus. They're talking about the virus of greed and the virus of fear, and greed is a fear-based perception. in this fear-based reality that we presently live in. What's really interesting about this is that when these four guys came in, I suddenly had a hankering to pull out a Bible, but it was to go to the library and get my hands on a Bible because I donated mine decades ago. And of course, the library's closed, so I can't go get one, but I might just jump on the internet and see what I can find and compare these four books of the Bible to see what comes through for me. I do know that all four of these prophets are very active in our field right now. They're very excited about the ascension process that we're in, and they're very excited that we're finally going to pull off this ascension project, and it's up to us to help that happen, because spirit cannot interfere with human free will choice. Number of the free choice is the prime directive on our planet, so it's up to enough of us to hold the light and to ask that to be what happens, which is why as light workers it's so important for us to hold the light and be the light and spread the love, rather than the virus of fear that's attempting to take over the planet right now. And so the guardians are here to help us, and we need to play our part in that role. That's it for today, and I will see you again next time. Mwah.